All right. Hello, everybody. This is episode 7. We're going to talk about luck and emotions because when you start living on cash flow, some emotions are really going to come up, and a lot of, oh my goodness, haven't yawned all day until I turn this on. But yeah, a lot of times when I'm coaching somebody, our coaching sessions start turning toward emotions, just whatever emotions they have. And for a lot of people, they don't know what the emotions are. They just know they have emotions, but they don't really know how to interpret them or how to use them to their advantage. So kind of wanted to touch base on this one. Let's make sure I come over here. So I want to say welcome, Lock Tribe. Actually, from now on, we're going to be moving it over to, well, I guess I could do it right now. Let's do that. Welcome, Lock Streak. Haha, you just saw history in the making, people. Lock Tribe is a rap group, so we're not going to go with that. A streak is a group of tigers that come together. So, welcome, Lock Streak. And we will be on a winning streak as long as we live on our cash flow. However corny you want to make it, that's how it is, so get used to the new. Alright, I'm going to go over a little bit. If you haven't heard of living on cash flow, it's very simple. You're going to take all of your income, regardless of where that income comes from, all of your income, you're going to put into 4 different categories. The first category is your lock category. This is living on cash flow. The rule for this account is that all bills must be paid from this account. The second account is your worth account. Okay, money put into this account is never, ever, ever, ever spent. Never. Okay, and as we move forward and go along, you'll understand a bit better. Your invest. All right, so in the invest fund, these funds spent here must be documented and they must get a return. So if you give your buddy 20 bucks on his next payday, he gives you back $21. He gives you a return on your money. Flow. Now, this account must be spent in full every month. You have to live now. You have to have an identity now. If you're not taking care of your current needs, then you're not going to have your current strength and motivation and enthusiasm to be moving forward to that next step. So for each of these accounts, they're based off of a value. The values that we support as Lock Streak would be your living on cash flow is about accepting reality. You need to pay your bills, people. Whether you agree with them or don't, you agree to get to the bill. You have a cell phone, or you have internet, or you have a phone, a computer, whatever. You have to accept the reality. Excuse me. You have to pay those bills. The worth account is about creating a legacy. A legacy is built over a lifetime or over multiple generations. So you've got to think long term. You have to really think at the end of your life, what do you want to have left? And that's really what worth is about. Invest is about growth. Every single person who has a business mindset knows you have to grow. Lifelong growth. Things are always changing. You're forgetting stuff. Your brain is a muscle. If you don't use it for certain things, it's going to atrophy. Okay? So always value growth. And the flow account, of course, is freedom. We like to have our freedom. You go do your thing, I go do my thing, and that's what makes us who we are, and we have the energy to keep moving forward. So that's the 4 values. And as a little recap of what we do. So I'm going to get into more of the emotions again. Okay, because change is emotional. So I want you to understand and accept the process. I really got plenty of sleep last night, people, and I have no idea why I'm yawning right now. I apologize. We have 3 brains. Okay, our primal brain, our mammalian brain, and our logical brain. So inside of your skull, you've got 3 brains that are stacked on top of each other. This is not something I'm just pulling out of my imagination. There's lots of research on this. Go out and check it out. It's pretty cool. Your primal brain is basically that little brain stem. It's the same thing you can find on any sort of reptile. And it's just a basic survival responses. Other people will call it, like in the self-help industry, they call it closed loop processing. This is just, it happens. Put your hand on a pan and boom, you're going to move it away. Unless you have conditioned yourself to not move your hand. That's going to be the logical brain that overrides your primal brain. Your mammalian brain, now this is your basic group survival instincts, okay? We are troop animals. We are definitely surviving better when we're in a group. So when a group shuns you, there's a lot of emotions that come on because your brain is trying to say, hey, I can't survive on my own. Does that make sense? And now your logical brain, which is your thought processes, with inventions such as running water, farming, technology, we really can actually survive without group support nowadays. So it's understandable that you will have a lot of emotions as you change it, and that you need to learn what's current as opposed to what your brain is going to tell you. All right, so all three of your brains, they need to communicate, okay? They need to communicate with the different bodily systems to keep it functioning, okay? There's a portion of the brain that has to keep your heart beating every single second of every single day. You know, if your heart stops beating, you're screwed. Those kind of things. Well, your mammalian brain is trying to communicate to your logical brain. And for any of you who are thinking, what the hell is this new age crap? Well, just invest and grow, okay? Invest in your own education. That's what these are about. Invest in your own education, okay? All right. When your primal brain is connecting to your mammalian brain, that's a reflex, okay? That's how they communicate. It's closed loop. It goes straight through. It just, boom, it happens. Like I said, if you touch a hot burner, what's going to happen? Your hand's going to whip back. It's just immediate reflex, okay? This automatic response is referred to as closed loop processing. If you've ever listened to or heard John Elliott, the Maverick Mindset, he likes to say, think like a squirrel, okay? It doesn't think about running across the wire. It just runs and allows its reflexes to determine how it reacts to the different challenges. So that is the primal connecting to the mammalian brain, and it's just a reflex. It is just a straight whatever will be the best survival. I had a time where I was cleaning a house with my mom, and they said, oh, here's this dog. So I went to go see the dog, and the dog bit at me. I didn't even know what I had done before my hand was up to my shoulder and I had screamed. I'm not a screamer. Like, I do not know how to scream on reflex, but there was a scream that came out, and that was just closed loop processing. My body responded so that I didn't get bit by this large dog. When your mammalian brain talks to your logical brain, however, there's emotions. Okay, you got to remember, emotions are just hormonal releases. That's all it is. They're just releasing hormones. And each emotion is a specific message to your logical brain. Okay, once again, I am not the first person to state this. There's a lot of backing up to this. So go ahead and do your own research, see what you want to do to understand it better. Just for the purpose of this, understand each emotion is a specific message to your logical brain. Now, Nonviolent Communication by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg teaches us that all people have needs, and that those emotions are just messages if those needs were met or not met. I really want to stress that they're just hormones. I meet so many people who think that they are a message from some deity, that they are a message from a past life, that there's just a lot of fairy tales and a lot of tall telling that goes along with this. They're hormones. It's a hormonal release. You know, and you can see this every single day in the pharmaceutical field. They can give you a drug that releases a certain extra amount of hormones, and you're going to feel that emotion, because emotions are just hormones, okay? So I really want you to understand, next time you have an emotion, just remind yourself, this is just a hormone. There's not some divine intervention. There's not some past life trying to come through you, okay? Like, just understand, these are just hormones that your body is releasing, okay? When you start dealing with the reality of the situation, then you have a better chance of actually, you know, taking control of that situation. Now, I want you to kind of think of these hormones, these emotions, like they're just memos, okay? They're just a message. You're going through something and you start feeling, say, very, very sad. Don't start saying, oh, I am sad. No, just say, okay, my mammalian brain is giving me a memo. Hey, I'm sad. That's all you got to think. Okay, someone just gave you a memo. You do not have to respond to this memo, okay? You do not. It's just a hormonal release. You do not have to go into some depressed fit for 3 years. You just have to understand it's just a hormonal release. Now, what is sadness? What is that message it's trying to say to you? Sadness is an expectation not being met. Write this down somewhere. I'm only going over, I think, 3 or 4 emotions, very basic. But I want you to understand, sadness is just an expectation not being met. So how does sadness incorporate in with your lock journey? Well, a few examples that I've seen in person. Let's say that your parents have always done your finances, okay? And due to life changes, whether your parents pass away or you go to college and now you're responsible for it, just life changes, you must now do all your own financial planning. Every time that you face your finances, you feel sad because you're expecting someone else is going to take care of it and now you have to take care of it. And that expectation is just not being met. Or you expected your uncle would hire you, but when he says you didn't get the position, you feel sad. You're like, I expected because I'm family, I would just get it. I didn't expect I had to have 3 years experience. You felt very, very sad about that. Or about you were always told that the other person was supposed to pay the bills in a relationship, and when they expect you to pay half of everything, you feel sad. And she was in complete tears. It actually destroyed the relationship, all because she just did not know how to handle it. I mean, it was just this expectation drilled into her by her parents that she's never supposed to pay for anything. Then, this gentleman had a healthy boundary of saying, well, if we're going to live together, you're going to pay half rent, you're going to pay half electricity, you're going to pay half grocery. And she just did not know how to handle that. That was an expectation not being met, and she just got extremely depressed to the point where she was no longer enjoyable to be around, and that relationship ended. I want you to see, finances do affect many other areas of your life. So what about another emotion? Let's take anger, because some of you are going to say, I wouldn't have been sad, I would have been angry. Okay, well, anger is a self-standard being violated. Okay, let me say that again. A self-standard being violated. Some examples I've seen. You check your balance to see that a company charged you for something that you didn't buy. You feel angry. You've got a standard that, hey, I'm not going to pay for something unless I bought something, right? Or I've seen this as well. You assume that when you got married, your significant other would pay their own bills. When they start using the joint checking account for personal use, you feel very angry. You had an expectation, a self-standard, right? Expectation is when you feel sad. Self-standard is when you feel angry. And this is why, especially when it comes to relationships, a lot of people go back and forth between feeling angry and feeling sad. Because you had expectations and you had standards. Or how about you've been saving to buy your dream car, but then when your family starts talking about using your money for a trip to Disneyland, you feel angry. You're like, no, I've been saving up for my car. This is my money. I've been working for this. You guys don't get to go spending it for me. That's a self-standard being violated. I want you to ask yourself, when do you get sad? When do you get angry? Or how about another feeling? Happiness, right? We can all feel happy. Happiness is actually just stating, hey, you're needing a need. You're meeting a need, and remember how you did it. That's really what happiness is remember. The brain is designed to remember negative things. A negative reinforcement, you remember it quickly. A positive reinforcement, you may not remember it as well. So it gives you happiness. You're going to seek reward, and that's what happiness is. It's trying to say, hey, this reward is good. Let's keep trying it. For example, you worked really hard to get extra sales and see that you have the highest commission check in your company. Yeah, you feel really happy. Hey, let's get that extra check, right? Or let's say you've been building your credit for 2 years and the bank finally tells you that your credit score is high enough that you finally qualify for a home mortgage. You'd be happy, right? A need is being met, and you did that. You'd definitely be happy. How about your significant other gets surprising news, so you're able to finance a quick celebration trip? I mean, you'd be happy to see them happy, right? It's just telling you, hey, you met a need. Remember how to meet this need in the future. That's what happiness is telling you. You met a need. Remember how to meet this need in the future. What about no emotion? I mean, we all have those times where, I guess you have the meh emoji is what people call it. I don't know. But majority of your day really should have no emotion because your brain is a muscle again. And if it were pumping out hormones all day long, you are going to get extremely tired, and you're just going to need to sleep a lot because your brain has to recover. So for many of us, majority of our day, there's going to be no emotion. And all that's stating is that there's no danger or reward. Your brain is not identifying a danger or a reward in your immediate situation. You can call it your comfort zone. Some people are going to call you confident. They're going to call you successful. And, people are going to ask, what's your money secret? Because they've never seen stress kind of thing. But I want you to understand, to you, it's no big deal because you've planned for everything. So you have healthy expectations, you have healthy standards, and your needs are consistently being met. So you're not having expectations not being met. You're not having self-standards being violated. You're not having these these needs newly being met. They're constantly being met. They're constantly being respected. You know what to expect. You have your standards being met. So you don't really feel a lot of emotion. That's all that no emotion means for you. And what about fear? What about fear? Fear comes in many different ways too. And I don't like the whole thing that fear just has to be trembling in the corner. Fear can be a procrastination. I've met too many people, especially when it comes to finances, they're procrastinating. Oh, I'm just lazy. No, they were afraid. Because when we finally did get to the point where they had to face their finances, all these things came up. And it all comes back to the same message: not prepared. That's all fear means, is that you're not prepared. That's why you don't want to deal with it. You're not prepared. The brain sees danger in not being prepared, so it's just going to have you think about other stuff. It's going to tell you, oh, no, let's not do stuff. That's all fear is that you're not prepared. What does that look like? Well, let's say you read 14 books on buying stocks, but when you go to see the stockbroker, they start saying things that you just don't understand, and you start kind of, feeling afraid that, maybe you made the wrong decision. You're not prepared. You didn't know what to expect, so you might be feeling sad. You might have a self-standard that I read the book, I'm an expert, you should be using vocabulary I know, so you might be feeling angry. Or you're just going to feel a little fearful that, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm not sure what to do. Or let's say you want to buy a car, but when it comes time to go to the dealership, you find yourself freezing and then choosing to do something else instead. You just keep putting it off. You keep putting it off. That is fear. Or what about you like the idea of lending your $1,000 out to a friend and getting back $1,100 in 3 months, but you just feel fearful that you won't ever see that money again. You're not prepared. Emotions are helpful when you interpret them accurately. People tell me all the time, they're like, wow, you didn't even feel the emotion. That's not true. I felt the emotion. I knew the message, I knew where I was going forward, so I knew if that emotion was beneficial to me or not. Period. Good example, this weekend I lost my driver's license and my work ID. That's a very big ouch. Not to mention, as being a professional driver, that's embarrassing. There was a lot of emotions I was feeling in the moment and afterwards. But nobody saw me having a fit. Nobody, I didn't attack people. I didn't go crying. I didn't but I felt all of the emotions. They were helpful. I didn't expect for my, IDs to go missing. I have a standard that I keep track of them and I don't lose them. And I was not prepared for, misplacing them. So I felt a lot of emotions and they came in different cycles. And instead of, say, going back to my hotel room or going back to my boss and crying and breaking down, I just backtracked where I went. I approached it as logically as possible. And when I couldn't find them, I took the next steps to get them replaced. So emotions are very helpful. I don't want you to think that you're supposed to walk around and be emotionless. Because if you're emotionless, that means something's wrong with your brain. It means your brain's not able to release hormones. And that's not healthy. We want you to feel emotions. But once again, interpret them accurately. I just want you to understand they're just messages, okay? I know I've thrown a lot at you. I know for many of you, you've probably never even considered looking at your emotions this way. So I put in a blank one just to give a little bit of space and let your brain have a little bit of time to absorb this information a bit better. because it is a new way to think. And I do hope that you watch this a couple of times and that you actually do your own research into this a little bit more. When you start realizing how to use your emotions for your benefit, you're going to start having a lot more control in the situations in the moment. Now, why are emotions important to living on cash flow? I have tried to use some examples around money, but maybe it doesn't quite sink in yet for you. You're like, okay, I want to learn how to do my finances. I just want to become a millionaire. Why are you telling me about emotions? I don't want to learn about this. Well, people do not buy things. They buy emotions. Okay? You do not buy that shirt because it looks well. You don't. You buy that shirt because you think it would make you attractive to the opposite sex, so you feel attractive. Or you don't buy those work shoes because you need them for work. You buy them because you will feel better not getting fired. I mean, it really does come down to emotions. People buy emotions. And if you've ever had to listen to any of the salesmen training out there, that's the first thing they're going to tell you is they're going to say, figure out what the person is feeling, figure out if they want to continue feeling that way. Give them what they want. If a person is feeling sad and they're wanting to feel happy, show them that your product will make them happy. If a person is feeling sad and they're just wanting to stay in that sad state, show them how this particular item will comfort them. It validates them feeling sad. You're not telling them they can't be sad because they have to be happy. You're telling them they're validated in feeling sad, and this product will help you feel validated. So I really want you to understand this applies to you as well. Every purchase you make, you are not buying things, you are buying emotions. How many times have you heard of this phrase, hangry? You're not yourself when you're hungry. Well, people eat to feel better. That's why people get ice cream and cake and energy drinks. They want to feel better. So start looking at yourself and asking yourself every time you have the emotions, what is the emotion? What is the message? All right. Since we're going down that path, think about your last purchase. What emotional reward did you get from it? My last purchase was at the dollar store yesterday. I bought a big thing of Q-tips and a 120-page spiral notebook. So what was the emotions that led me behind there? Well, the Q-tips, I feel more mature when I'm able to keep my body clean, especially my ears, because I do have headphones in majority of the day. I don't like to think that I have sweat building up or any of that kind of gunk. So I feel more mature. That's why I would purchase them. As far as the book, that book I will use to log all of my start and stop mileage and hours, and every time I change my driver status within the Qualcomm. And I feel in control when I have my own backup record. Sure, it's all digital for them, but if there were to ever be an issue with it, I will have my own backup plan. So I feel safe, I feel secure, I feel in control. I wanted those feelings, and therefore I purchased those items. Now it's your turn. Think about your last purchase. What emotional reward did you get from it? While we're going along this, I want you to imagine paying your bills. What emotions come up for you if you have to pay your bills? Think about, what are your bills? What are the bills that you pay? Remember that happy means your needs are being met. Sad means an expectation is not being met. Angry is a self-standard being violated. Fearful means you're not prepared. No emotion just means there's no danger or reward. And this is going to let you understand how you feel about your life. This is telling you your values. And when you're not behind a wheel, I definitely suggest you stop and re-listen to this and write it down, journal about it. Really take the time to kind of understand what emotions come up for you, and then to slowly understand what those emotions are trying to tell you. It's very important that you do it for all 4 categories. So now imagine putting your money into savings. All your money, 100% of your check is going to go now into a savings account. What emotions come up for you? Remember, happy means being met. Sad means an expectation not being met. Angry, a self-standard being violated. Fearful, not prepared. And no emotions mean there's no danger or reward. And that is for our worth account, putting all of it into the savings. That's our worth. What emotions came up for you? All right, let's try the invest account. Now imagine you bought $20 in stocks and you got back 23. You put in $20 at the beginning of the month. At the end of the month, you saw they gave you back 23. What emotions would come up for you then? Would you be happy that your needs are being met? Would you be sad that an expectation has not been met? Maybe you'd get angry that a self-standard was being violated. Would you be fearful? Would you not be prepared? Or are there just no emotions? There's no danger or reward. And my favorite account is our freedom account. All right, now imagine the fun that you spent every single month. Every single month, right? Everything you get to spend every single month. What emotions come up for you? Now, I want you to understand, a lot of people just assume you'd be happy, but that's not the case. That is not the case. So if you are happy, cool, you got needs that are being met. But what if it's sad? An expectation not being met? There are plenty of people who do not expect that they're supposed to spend on themselves. They feel sad about it. Or how about angry, a self-standard being violated? I've met people who are angry when I tell them you have to spend the account every month. How dare you? I'm a saver and I take care of my family. How dare you tell me that I have to spend money on myself? They get angry. There's the fearful. Oh my gosh, if I spent every single one of my paychecks, how would I pay my bills? I mean, I couldn't pay my bills. I would be homeless. My children would be homeless. That terrifies me. And there's other people who have no emotions. There's no danger or reward. They're like, okay, okay, okay. I know we kind of went through those fast, but like I said, listen to it a couple of times. Maybe stop it and pause it. Focus on just one of the emotions. Just try to keep a little journal, and throughout your day, just take a note. And I want you to understand, when I tell you throughout your day, I'm not asking you to put hours and hours into this. You've already got a full schedule. You've already got a family. You've already got yourself to take care of. I am literally asking you to just take a second or maybe 2 seconds of just a mental note. Oh, I'm feeling angry. Oh, angry. What is that again? Okay, self-standard being violated. Okay, and then move on. I'm not asking you to take away from your life. That's not what living on cash flow is about. Living on cash flow is about empowering your life. Living on cash flow is about you being in charge, you being able to master your life just using finances. But you have to understand why you have these beliefs and these standards of finances before you can fully use them. Now, I want you to really just grasp it. There is a lesson, okay? Your emotions tell you your values and your priorities. All humans feel emotions, okay? If you want to genuinely understand a toddler before they have the understanding of whatever language they're being taught, look at their emotions and apply these rules. You will see that when a toddler has an expectation not being met, they cry. They go to touch the toy and the lid pops up. They cry. They expected to touch the lid like they had before and nothing happens, but this time something popped out. They start crying. They have a self-standard. Grandma always gives them a piece of candy. Now grandma's not giving a piece of candy and they're angry and throwing something. While the toddler is crying or upset, there's other kids around them are laughing because the adults are laughing. Only unhealthy adults. To all my nonviolent parents out there, I understand it's hard for you to, some of you don't appreciate that I do hang around abusive people. Unfortunately, that's how some people are. Someone is in pain and other humans are around them laughing at them. Well, if the people who are choosing to laugh, a need is being met. They're being part of the group. So they laugh to be part of the group. It's just a need being met. You can tell a lot about any sort of interaction without understanding the language that's being spoken, without understanding any of the backstory. You just look at the emotions being displayed, and you're going to understand the dynamic of the situation very, very quickly, because all humans feel emotions. They're just hormonal releases. If you're feeling sad about something, you are not somehow special. You are not somehow the only person on the planet to feel sad about it, okay? You are just having a different set of needs being met or not being met. Now, I want you to allow your emotions so that you can understand the messages. I've worked with a lot of people who grew up in abusive households and they thought abuse is normal. Oh, certainly you should beat the child. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Until they start being around people who don't use those paths. And then they start understanding, oh, okay, this is why it helped me fit in the past, and it's not going to help me fit in the future, kind of things. As far as the finances part of it, I want you to understand that you should allow your emotions. I've dealt with some people who got angry. I mean, I'm talking red in the face, ready to just knock you out angry every paycheck they ever got. And they slowly started understanding they had all these different standards that weren't being met. And as they understood what standards weren't being met, they were slowly able to change the job, change their relationship, change the city that they were living in. I mean, he was so much happier once he just moved out of that area because he just didn't like the area. So I want you to allow the emotions, obviously not in a way that harms yourself or harms someone else, okay? That's the first thing you're going to understand about me. I scream it every other way. I do not believe in manipulating other people. I do not believe in violently, emotionally, or psychologically abusing other people. Okay, so, and that includes yourself. That does include yourself. And that's what these are going to be. So allow your emotions so that you can understand the messages. Once you understand the messages, then you can take steps to improving your life. And honestly, the life of those around you. Now, I want you to allow the emotions in others as well, because as you start taking control of your finances, as your finances start changing, emotions are going to come out of other people, because remember, all humans have emotions. So as you learn to understand and react to your own emotions, you'll start identifying the messages in other people's emotions. I don't know why I feel this way. Well, you know, I've been kind of exploring it, and I think the reason you're getting so angry is because you expect that the manager should give us equipment that works. Is that right? Yeah, of course they should. Oh my gosh, absolutely. You get it. Also, Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, okay, he does nonviolent communication. What that all means is that he used to, if I recall correctly, he was talking between warring tribes. He was called in to help bring peace between violent tribes. That's what the nonviolent communication comes from. It can be helpful when learning to express your new emotional insights. There is a specific way of using Latin-based languages, because remember, they are warrior-based languages. They are designed to be aggressive. So when you start learning how to use the language in a more non-aggressive way, it really can help set up situations to be more passive. Now, when it comes to finances, emotions are going to come up for everyone in the household, okay? By understanding your own emotions and learning how to express those emotions in a productive way, you will create happier relationships. If you're wanting more resources about the nonviolent communication, go to cnvc.org. That's cnvc.org for more resources. No, I have not been endorsed for this. No, I have not yet met Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, but it's on my bucket list for sure. But yes, it did absolutely change my life when I started learning how to use this way to communicate with people. Emotions are going to tell us about ourselves, okay? When we're happy and our needs are being met, you'll learn what needs are important to you. We're all human. We're all going to feel emotions. However, given different societies, given different standards, we're going to have different needs. So you will learn what needs are important to you. When you're sad and an expectation is not being met, you're not going to learn what expectations you've been actually holding. When I first started doing this, I was shocked. I was completely shocked. I did not understand at all why I would get so sad at times. But as I started feeling it and allowing it to happen and journaling about it over a course of a couple of years, I started learning that I had a lot of expectations that I had never actually verbalized to anyone, including myself. Now, angry. Now, when you get angry, it's a self-standard being violated, okay? You're going to learn your self-standards. I see it all the time in households where they try to treat children as second-class citizens. They get angry. They get very angry because, yeah, they are not second-class citizens. They are equals. You're trying to teach them to be, servants, to be slaves, to be lesser than, and no human is lesser than. When you are fearful, it just means you are not prepared. You see this all the time, okay? You're going to learn what areas you need to prepare for. For some people, it's socially, I gotta give a speech. Oh, no. I'm just going to go to Alaska and live in an igloo for a year, that kind of thought pattern. You're just not prepared. So start trying to prepare yourself for public speaking a bit better. And when you have no emotions, or there's no danger and no reward, this just teaches you where your comfort zone is, okay? And as you learn and as you grow, you're going to expand your comfort zone a little bit more, because you're going to be prepared. You're going to know what to expect. You're going to be respecting your own standards. So you're not going to be having all these huge amounts of emotions. I want you to take back emotional control, okay? Yeah, my left hip is really not happy with me sitting on this bed, but unfortunately, this little motel thingy does not have a desk. I want you to take back emotional control, and you'll take back control of your finances. As I have gone through each new stage of my life, my finances have gone to different things. During the divorce, it was food. I ate all the time. It was so important to me to just eat, to just be comforted. As I started to get back on my feet, it was about new skills. Otros idiomas, the piano. It was just a lot of learning other skills, and that's where my finances went to. And I had a huge library again, which I loved. I loved having all my books, floor to ceiling, some of them. Just loved all of that education. That's where my finances went. And now my finances, as you know through this 2-year documentary, are going to go to passive income. As your emotions change, your values change, you're going to change your purchasing habits. Emotions really are allies. Please don't treat emotions like they're bad. The most abusive thing I think our society currently does is say boys don't cry. That's saying men should not have any sort of expectation ever. And I believe that's completely horrible. Completely horrible. Just as it is absolutely horrible, you're too pretty to hold that angry face. Women are allowed to have self-standards. So I just really want you to understand that your emotions are your allies, okay? Now, obviously, the ending credit of subscribe now. We are growing the channel. We're currently at 30 subscribers. I think Wednesday I will be going out on the road. We're hoping so if everything lines up. So I'm not sure how many of these episodes I will be able to get out in the next month and a half, but it's all right. It's all part of the growing process. But until then, if you're looking at emotions in this way and is new to you, just let the idea sink in first, okay? Listen to it. Maybe don't watch this again until next week or even next month. Just let it kind of sink in. Now, there are many complex emotions, guilt, jealousy, frustrations, that are not covered in this episode. But like I said, I really encourage you to go research this on your own. If you have a coworker, ask them to listen to this episode and ask their thoughts. It's not a family member. It's not somebody who knows your finances. It's just a coworker like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And it could really open up some healthy dialogue for you. I'm always a big fan of using a journal to keep track of your emotions. Now, you do need to keep in mind that you got to remembering that emotions are only accurate for the last 45 seconds. They're just a hormonal release, right? So emotions are always outdated, always. You get broken up with somebody. Oh, wow, okay. And then 4 days later, oh my God, you're completely devastated, right? it's old news. So I want you to really keep in mind that emotions are old news. Okay? Other than that, please drop comments below if you have any suggestions, of course. But yeah, I mean, this is growing and people are asking some really good questions. I did create an Instagram under Living on Cashflow. I think we did the whole full name, Living on Cashflow. Maybe once somebody helps me, we can figure out how to find the link and put it in the comments below. Right now it's still the beginning stage and I don't do a lot of the techie stuff, as you guys have already figured out, but as I grow, it'll get better. I hope this has really helped you, and I really do hope that you start understanding your emotions are not your enemy. Men and women do feel emotions, and it actually makes you strong to feel emotions. If you didn't feel any emotions, you would be an unhealthy sociopath. So please, my men out there, allow yourself to feel sad. And my ladies out there, allow yourself to feel angry. But don't hurt other people and don't hurt yourself, because you're beautiful and you're totally worth it, okay? So I will talk to you guys next time.